Hello and welcome back to Clark and Addison. I'm sorry, Born into the Ivy. We are your hosts, David and Eli, and we are back to talk about quite a few things about the Cubs. We're going to talk about some of the transactions and ins and outs that have been happening over the last few days or last week to week and a half. Um, some of the small little rumors that have been going about. The Cubs had a free agency signing that we'll talk about, and some starting pitching targets that we think could be had in via trade. So, um, first, I'll talk about the Cubs have non-tendered two players. I don't think either of them were too big of a crazy surprise. As much as I love Reese McGuire, it just made sense with all the catching depth that the team has right now. I would love to see Reese come back into the organization, and kind of like he was this year, where he was um, in Iowa, in case they need him. But he deserves a
MLB
guaranteed,
contract, yeah.
yeah, a guaranteed MLB contract as at the very least a backup. To be honest, so um, a great guy to have on the team, and I wish him all the best. The other guy was a bit of a surprise, but I wasn't terribly surprised. Eli Morgan. It didn't pan out at all. Um, Cubs definitely lost that trade that they made with the Guardians, but because they traded a low level minor league guy to get him, we'll see how that pans out in the long run. But I think, I mean, when you only have a guy in your organization 1 year and he really pitched like crap the short amount of time that he pitched, no matter what you gave up, it wasn't a win for sure. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Cubs did select a trio of minor leaguers and put them on the 40-man roster to protect them in the Rule 5 draft in December. Left-handed pitcher Riley Martin and James Triantos both played in AAA Iowa this past season, and second baseman slash infielder Pedro Ramirez played in Knoxville, Double A Knoxville. Ramirez is the number 8 Cubs uh, prospect in the top 30, while James Triantos is number 10, and Riley Martin is not ranked in the top 30. I think I kind of see Riley as maybe a bullpen type arm
hmm
as he continues to grow. Um, Solid numbers for Riley. It's 63 and two thirds innings, 47 games, had one game started, went 6-2, converted 4 of 6 saves with a 2.69 ERA, allowed 35 walks, which which was a 13.4% walk rate, a little high, not as low as what you'd like to see him do if he were to come up. Um, but hopefully that kind of because if you look at his stats, the walk rate continues to go down for him. So hopefully that continues because he also has 80 strikeouts in those 63 innings, almost 64, at a 30.7% strikeout rate, which is very good, and a 1.19 WHIP. His batting average allowed was 186, and he had a 3.54 FIP for fielding independent pitching. So he had a really good year.
Yeah. hmm
I'm glad that
I
they
like that.
added him.
hmm
I think I really think that he could be a bullpen guy. That, at the very least, they could come up when they really need somebody because of injuries or whatever, and go back down when needed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh, a guy, as long as he can throw strikes consistently, looking at the walk rate, that might be an issue at times. I don't think he has quite the velocity of like a Luke Little, but I think everything else falls in line the same way that I view Luke Little. But his Achilles heel has always been not throwing strikes, especially when he comes up to the majors. But Little's got that velocity, man, that I
hmm
love. Um, Pedro Ramirez had a slash line of 280, 346 on base percentage, 386 slugging, and a 732 OPS. In 500 at bats, he had 70 runs, 140 hits, 21 doubles, 4 triples, 8 home runs, 73 RBIs. I was a little surprised at how many RBIs he had with only 8 home runs and everything. 46 walks, struck out 85 times, and 28 stolen bases. So you got some speed in there too. Um, I think he's a solid defender. He's not as good of a defender as James Triantos, though, who had a slash line of 259, 315 on base, 370 slugging, and a 685 OPS. In 440 at bats, he had 69 runs, 114 hits, 24 doubles, 2 triples, 7 home runs, 43 RBIs, 31 walks, 67 Ks, and 31 stolen bases.
Man.
Triantos definitely has better speed. Triantos had a bad year for what was expected of him this year. And he definitely fell in the prospect rankings. I'm hoping that he bounces back this coming year.
Yeah, because he'd be good to have in the lineup with that speed, too.
I mean, and he's a good contact hitter. Like,
Mhm.
think Horner with it. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? He's a good contact hitter. He just didn't hit for a ton of average, which you need to do when you're not a power hitter. You got to hit for better average, and it's not like he draws a ton of walks either. In 60 more at bats, Ramirez had 15 more walks than Triantos, and I mean that's 1 in every 4 at bats. That's pretty good. So I'd like to see him get a little more patient, maybe a little more selective, but just overall, I hope that he can bounce back and have that average go up to at least in the 280s again at AAA. The problem could be, is he blocking Ramirez at some point? You know what I mean?
Right.
Triantos also got hurt this past year. He's got plenty of speed. 31 stolen bases and only 440 at bats. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I think all 3 men deserve to be put on the 40-man roster, though. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So now the 30-man currently sits at 30 or 31 players. I'm not sure if the new free agent signing is considered on that yet officially. So if he's not, then it's 30 players. And they have the least amount of players on the 40-man right now in Major League Baseball, which I found interesting. Guys that are being rumored quite a bit in free agency right now are San Diego Padres right-handed pitchers, former San Diego Padre right-handed pitchers Michael King and Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is also a former Chicago Cub farmhand who was traded back in the Jose Quintana trade a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Cease has been incredibly durable. And ironically enough, that worries me.
Mm-hmm.
The dude has uber talent. He's a really good pitcher. And maybe I'm being like a negative Nancy, but at some point, like this dude has had Tommy John surgery. He had it when the Cubs drafted him. But he's been incredibly healthy since then. So it's very possible he just knows how to take care of his body and protect himself, but also be very, very efficient. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just worry that at some point that's going to run out the way that, I mean, he's high 90s with his fastball. He's got some wicked pitches, some wicked movement, spin. I don't know. I'm probably just being overly cautious with that. But,
maybe he just learned a different form on how to throw the ball.
Well,
Maybe he changed his.
He actually credits the Cubs with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
How they had taught him in the minors on how to take care of his arm and his elbow better. So, Michael King isn't going to cost as much, but I think that the upside is just as real. I just don't think it's as consistent as Dylan Cease's. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think Cease is the more ultimately talented player, but I don't know that it's as drastic as the price tags are going to be. Like King is expected to sign for under 100 million. Cease is expected to sign over 150 million.
I'd do that.
That's a major difference. I would be comfortable with 175, 190 million for Dylan Cease, to be honest. I really would. And I'm saying that as somebody who was just saying it worries me a little bit that he hasn't gotten hurt. So I think he's 100% worth it. My guess is if they're going to go the free agency route, though, that they'll go towards King. And I think if we're going after a guy in that tier, I think he's the best one in that tier, the tier that he's in. So which is probably like that third tier type player, maybe second of pitcher, starting pitchers. Um, but that is the rumors are per the Athletics, Patrick Rooney and Sahada Sharma. Those guys, fun to read, fun to listen to. If you ever listen to anybody else's podcast, they have a podcast that's pretty good. I like it a lot. Uh, these are both intriguing names to help anchor the Cubs starting staff, though. John Morosi of MLB Network is reporting that the Cubs are still expected to add at least one more frontline starter after Shota Imanaga accepted the qualifying offer. So I think that's a good thing because I think that they need that depth. And the more I thought about, because I was on the last episode and everything, I was pretty critical that we're not considering going after more bats. But if you stop and think about the way that everything was at the trade deadline this last year, there was a whole lot more bats that were traded at the trade deadline than pitching, especially starting pitching, because of the asking prices.
Right.
So it kind of makes more sense to make sure that you're loaded up for pitching. And then if you need more offense at the deadline, to go get it that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I guess it ultimately comes down to how comfortable are we with the young guys and with the guys like Shota and Hap and everything. And as long as they're willing to go get more offense if it's needed, because let's say that one of the young guys just isn't hitting the way we want him to, I'm okay with that as long as they're going to do it. I don't know that the front office / ownership has earned the trust to do it, even if they say they're going to, because they didn't last year. They did it in 25. They swore up and down they were going to do it, and then they didn't. And I understand the asking prices were stupid. I get that. But at the same time, I don't. Like, you said you were going to do it, and you didn't.
Yeah.
So why do I now trust that you're going to do it for a bat? And they haven't come out and said that. I'm just thinking, like, maybe that's part of their thinking. And that would make sense to me if that's their thinking. I like that we're loading up on pitching. And they still haven't announced. So the Cubs did sign right-handed reliever Phil Maton to a 2-year deal that includes a club option for 2028. Terms have still not been disclosed that I can find. First reported by Bleacher Nation and followed by several others. Between Texas and St. Louis, the majority of what with St. Louis last year, Maton had his best season of his career. In 63 games, he logged 61 in the third innings, went 3-3 with 4 saves. He had a K percent of 32.7% and a walk rate of 9.3. His ERA was 2.79, and his FIP was even better at 2.6. This is his 5th year in a row that he's had at least 63 games. I think that's an awesome sign because he's very durable. He's ready for his team, and in 4 of the last 5 years, he has been on a roster that made the playoffs. 25 being the last year that he did not, when he was traded to Texas. But they traded for him in hopes of him helping to get them in there. And he did his job. He didn't pitch as well as he did in St. Louis, but he still pitched really well. I'm really excited about this signing. I'm excited about it either way, but I'll be more excited about it depending on the terms. If he signed for 2 years and $20 million, I'm not as excited about it as if he signed for 2 years, $12 million or $14 million. Because 6 or even $7 million versus $10 million is a major difference, and what we also can add going forward too. But he's probably the only. He's now one of two players in the bullpen that is going to be trusted with high leverage. The other guys that are currently slated in the bullpen, it's going to be hard pressed to trust them in high leverage right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you think?
Well,
about this?
it honestly makes me feel better if we don't get Caleb Tealbar or Brad Keller. Definitely.
I think it's more for that. I feel better with if we can't keep Keller
Mm-hmm.
with this because he's right-handed. So is Keller. I'm still really hopeful that we keep Thielbar or
Pomeranz.
Pomeranz, and really, I would love to keep both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a perfect world, we keep both of them. I just don't know that that's going to happen. I would say that both of them are probably feeling out the free agent market right now. But I would be surprised if neither of them or both of them didn't come back to Chicago and say, "This is what I'm being offered. Can you match that?" Because I think, like Keller, they both really enjoyed their time here. But the difference, Keller, is being talked about even more. There's like 3 or 4 teams that want to turn him into a starter.
A starter. Mm-hmm.
And you can't blame him for wanting to try that again.
Right.
And it's not going to happen with the Cubs at this point.
I just don't think he's capable. I mean, obviously, he's definitely going to be much better in a bullpen than he would starting.
I agree.
I think.
I think he's found his niche. But I mean, he's had success as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't blame him. Another guy that I have hopes that the Cubs might consider, especially the longer he might be on the free agent market, is Ryan Helsley. And now he's being rumored as a guy that people are interested in turning into a starter too. It's like, what the heck's going on, man?
I wouldn't start him either.
No, I certainly.
I think that's a huge risk of injury.
Yes. I think Helsley specifically is much better suited for the bullpen. And if he goes even a second time through the lineup, I think he gets shelled a whole lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got more of a straight fastball and like
for how hard he throws, I don't think he should be a starter.
That doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, I get like if it's a team like the Pirates, I get why they might take a chance with something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But not the Pirates. It's not going to be the Pirates. They have a whole lot of good pitching depth. But the Pirates would be in that situation though with an offensive guy who might have the makings of something like, you know what I mean? Because they need offense in the worst way. But these are the 9 possible trade targets that I had for the Cubs. Chris Bubich with the Royals. He is ARB eligible, has 1 more year left before he is free agent eligible, and he is expected to get in arbitration about $6 million. Give or take some. Yeah, always give or take some with the arbitration numbers. But I'm going to tell you what the expected numbers that are being reported. Sandy Alcantara has 1 more year left at $17 million with a club option for 2027 at $21 million. For what this guy has done in the past, $38 million for the next 2 years doesn't sound so bad to me.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider what even to sign Michael King, it's going to take about 20 to 25 million. Probably closer to 25. So for 17 and then maybe 21, that sounds like a pretty good numbers to me. Edward Cabrera. So I've got 4 Marlins on this list. Edward Cabrera is ARB eligible at just over 3 years of ML service, expected to get around $3.7 million. Max Meyer, ARB eligible, just over 2 years, so he's a Super 2 player, and expected $1.3 million. Ryan Weathers, ARB eligible at 3 years, ML service, $1.5 million. Joe Ryan, ARB eligible at 4 years of service. So he's got 2 more years of club control at 26 and 27. He's expected to get about $5.8 million. Mitch Keller signed 26 through 28 with $16.5 million for 26, $18 million for 27, and $20 million for 28. Mackenzie Gore, ARB eligible, 4 years of service, so 2 years of control at $4.7 million. And Pablo Lopez, $21.5 million each for 26 and 27 for the rest of his deal. Before we go over stats, which I sent you, do any of those jump out at you as I really think that's a crazy idea? I don't like it.
A crazy idea? Pablo Lopez, probably.
So you don't like the Pablo Lopez idea?
Yeah, $21.5 million's a lot. When you can get Mackenzie Gore for $4 million.
Yes, but it's also going to cost more prospects wise.
Yeah, but
So Mackenzie Gore, I could see a world where you have to trade Ballesteros and Casey.
okay, yeah. Now that you say that,
I'm not saying that's definite. I think that but you got to trade Wiggins at least, and for one of those guys, and then another player. Or to keep Wiggins, you trade those two. I don't know that I want to trade both of those guys.
I wouldn't.
But if you could do it for, let's say it's Casey, Wiggins, and another like Pedro Ramirez. He's a number 8 prospect, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you trade those 3
I would for Mackenzie Gore.
for Gore, what about anybody else on it? Like, so would Gore be your number 1?
Gore would be my number 1, yes.
He would not mind.
Who would yours be?
You won't like it.
Sandy Alcantara?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alcantara is my number. Actually, no, he's my number 2. I'm sorry. Joe Ryan is my number 1. But Sandy is my number 2, and Cabrera is my number 3. But it's really close between Cabrera and Bubic for me. So Gore would be my number 5. And when I say that, I'm not talking about just in a vacuum, this is who I like best. I'm talking about prospects as well. Like what it would cost for prospects.
I wouldn't mind the Joe Ryan one either. It's Mackenzie Gore and Joe Ryan would be the only two that really catch my eye. Even if that is willing, I would be willing to trade those 3 if we get to keep Ballesteros.
I mean, I get that because ultimately I would too.
Mm-hmm.
So let me clarify. If we got Mackenzie Gore for those guys, I would not be sad. I just think that we could do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get an extra. No, you don't get it. So Joe Ryan and Mackenzie Gore, it's the same amount of control. You only get 2 years with those guys. I would not want to give up the same amount of prospects for Bubic, even though I think he's just as good, because it's only 1 year. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think Sandy Alcantara is the most talented of all these guys, with the exception of Edward Cabrera. I think Cabrera is the most talented of all of them. My worry with Cabrera is injuries and stamina in games. But he showed that more in the second half of last year. But he also had an injury scare in the second half of last year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This kid has really good numbers. I'm also really intrigued by the talent of Max Meyer. Ryan Weathers, I threw in there. Like, he would be intriguing to me, but more as a, hey, we just picked up Edward Cabrera and Ryan Weathers. Or Sandy Alcantara and Ryan Weathers. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would that's where that would intrigue me more. Um, as far as instant high upside, I think is the safest, quote unquote, because there's no such thing as a true safe bet when you're doing this. But the safest to me would be Joe Ryan. But let me give you some stats and tell you why I feel that this way on some of these guys, okay?
Alrighty.
Bubic, this past year, he only had 116 innings. That scares me a bit. He went 8-7, 20 games started, 116 innings, a 24.4% K rate, only an 8.2% walk rate. I thought that was great. You know what I mean? His ERA was 2.67. His FIP was 1.95. That by far the best FIP on here. But he's only 1 year. So I would expect that the Royals are probably going to want Jackson Wiggins at the very least. And I don't know that I'm comfortable with that. Would you be for 1 year?
No, I don't. I think 1 year contracts are to have a player on your team for 1 year while giving up, your prospects is kind of ridiculous, and especially at the end of the year when free agency comes and you don't want to sign the guy. So I think it's kind of bogus.
I think in the right instance, it makes sense. I don't know that this is it, though. You know what I mean? I don't think that this is the right instance. I like Mitch Keller. I was all for the Cubs trading him in a reasonable deal at the deadline. But the Pirates are not being reasonable, in my opinion. Mitch Keller's a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher. And they wanted Cade Horton and one of those other guys. And they wanted Matt Shaw, I think, too.
Oh, my.
I said, what the hell? For Mitch Keller? Look at his stats.
Yeah.
I mean, he ended up with a 4.19 ERA. His career is 4.51. And everybody, like he's got, outside of Sandy Alcantara, he's got the most time pitching in the major leagues. Like he's not on his first round of deal. He's on his second deal. He's had a free agency deal. I think they bought him out a couple years, but still. You know what I mean? I like Joe Ryan a lot. Probably, like I said, I think he's the safest guy. He has a 5.7% walk rate while still striking out 28% of his batters faced. That's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, it is.
And he had an ERA at 3.42. I think his ERA ends up better behind the Cubs and their defense. I think all of these guys could end up better behind the Cubs defense. Like there's a strong argument to be made for all that. Same with Lopez. But Lopez's ERA, I think most people would be very surprised to hear that his ERA was 4.17 last year. Are you surprised by that?
I don't really know much about Pablo Lopez.
No, I'm talking. Did I say Lopez?
I think so.
Mackenzie Gore.
Oh, I mean, I feel like a lot of strikeout pitchers, they have those meatball mistakes every once in a while. So no, not really. He's not like a weak. He probably, he's most strikeout pitchers aren't also like weak contact guys. It's usually like hit or miss. So,
but Joe Ryan is.
Yeah.
Sandy Alcantara is.
Well, I know Sandy Alcantara is.
Edward Cabrera is. Weak contact guys, I mean.
Oh.
They're all weak contact guys. Max Meyer falls in with what you just said. With like Gore. I think Gore will get there more as he gets older. Like he's the second youngest on this group.
Is he? Max really? Meyer.
So, like, there's a ton of room to grow for Mackenzie Gore. Like I said, I would no way, shape, or form would be mad. I would be ecstatic if the Cubs traded for him. I just think that with the prospect value, we can do better.
Right.
I also think if we made it Casey or Ballesteros and Wiggins and Ramirez, and maybe if we add one more, we could trade for Sandy and Edward Cabrera.
I wouldn't do that.
I would.
I can't. I couldn't.
I would love that.
If we could keep Ballesteros, I would love to keep Ballesteros.
I'm not saying trade Ballesteros. I'm saying trade.
Oh, I thought.
No. Casey or Ballesteros, but preferably Casey.
Oh, okay.
But as long as we need to keep one of those two.
Mm-hmm. I prefer Ballesteros.
I do too. My problem with keeping Ballesteros is trusting Seiya to play right field the whole time.
True.
I struggle with that a little bit. But push come to shove, I think that we're probably going to be a better team with Ballesteros playing regularly versus Casey. For this year. I'm not saying definitively going you know what I mean? But I'm saying for this year, I think that I ultimately think that Ballesteros is the better prospect. But I could be wrong on that because I really liked what we saw with Casey.
I guess we didn't really see enough of him, but
agreed.
The way that Ballesteros just puts the ball in the outfield,
agreed.
It's
and he fits really, really well with what this team needs.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a contact hitter, he's going to hit for some power, but that's not his game.
I just think he chooses not. Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't. I bet you that dude could possibly have more power than Seiya Suzuki. He just doesn't want to use it.
I don't know who's going to have more Seiya. I think very few people have more power, pure power, than Seiya.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet you Moises could if he really wanted to.
I just love the way he hits and the way he approaches the game, and I'm really stoked that he's really. It seems like he's really going to get a chance at this, and I'm excited for that.
Yes,
but if we could get in any other top 10, I think I've got the top 10 prospects here. Casey, Ballesteros, Wiggins. So let's trade Rojas or Alcantara or even Ethan Conrad or Jonathan Long.
We haven't seen anything from Ethan Conrad yet.
I know, but all the more reason why I'd be willing to do that. If we could get
I think
Sandy and Edward Cabrera, it's worth it to me.
I don't know. I think we can absolutely get rid of. I just think we can absolutely get rid of Owen Casey and then build up with Ethan Conrad because I think Ethan Conrad could very well be a lot better than Owen Casey. I bet you Ethan Conrad could be a future star.
I agree. Conrad and there's another.
And Conrad can. I think he can play. Yeah.
Conrad and Kepley, I'm excited about both of them.
Mm-hmm. If anything happens to Michael Busch, I think Ethan Conrad played first base too, along with center field. Ethan Conrad could play anywhere in the outfield. He could probably play I can't remember if he's a righty or a lefty. I think he's a lefty, actually.
I think they're both lefties.
Yeah. So, he can play first base too. He's a tall, lengthy guy.
Agreed.
So he can play any position in the outfield.
But I'm talking about a 30 and a 27-year-old pitcher who I think are both capable of Cy Young potential.
I don't know about Cy Young potential. For Sandy.
Sandy definitely has. He's won one.
You think so?
He's won one.
Sandy Alcantara won a Cy Young?
22.
Really?
So Sandy Alcantara this year went 11-12 in 31 games, 174 and 2/3 innings, only struck out 19%, walked 7.7% though. I love that. His ERA for the year was 5.36. Don't love that. His FIP though was 4.28. It was down a whole run versus what his ERA actually was because he played for a shitty ass team and he pitched for a shitty ass team who is young. There's a lot of good young guys on that Marlins team that you can get excited about. But they could have played defense for anything. They were a bad defensive team. And that shows. Edward Cabrera His FIP actually went up, so maybe that doesn't help it as much. But in the second half, remember he's coming off Tommy John surgery. It takes some time to get back in the swing of things, especially as quick as they brought him back. Like, I still don't understand why they brought him back so fast. You know what I mean? Well, actually, I do, because they were hoping he could take off and they were going to get a high prospect haul. That's what they were hoping for. In the second half, he had, in 13 games, 7-3 record, 83 innings. So it's not like it's a small sample size, right? It's small, but it's not too small to get, hey, I think he's back. 21% walk or K rate, so it went up 2%. Walk rate went down almost 2% at 6. An ERA of 3.33. The FIP was 3.89. And an opponent's average of 218. He only allowed a 250 batting average of balls in play. 250. That's better than his career average. What's that? I'm telling you, Sandy Alcantara, if he stays healthy, and I think good reason why to believe that he could, is going to be a Cy Young candidate, especially if he's on a team that is competing and plays defense better than what the Marlins did last year. He's going to be a Cy Young candidate. I feel it in my bones, and I want the Cubs to get him. This is who I want. This is who I hope they can get. And
I could tell.
and this is part of it too, because I don't think that he will cost the same as Joe Ryan or Mackenzie Gore, prospect-wise.
Mm-hmm.
One, he's making a whole lot more money, but he's still not making what it would cost to go get and add somebody via free agency. And I think that we could get him without giving up Wiggins. If we don't give up Wiggins, would you agree that it's better to trade Casey and Pedro Ramirez or some other high-level top 10 prospect with Casey to get him and keep Wiggins? Or no? Or would you rather have one of those other two?
I'd be okay with that. Because, again, we got Triantos. And then,
I don't know that I like it as much if we have to trade Wiggins to get Sandy.
Right. I'm saying with Casey and Ramirez.
So what if it takes Casey and Wiggins?
Don't know.
Just those two to get Sandy Alcantara. Does it make more sense to you to get one of the other two guys and add in the third prospect at that point? It kind of does to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does to me because you're saving a ton of financials that way as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And, Cubbies love to save their financials, so.
But hopefully they're saving that to add some like more bullpen to maybe then we can go get Devin Williams. I think getting Sandy Alcantara versus trading for or signing a guy like Michael King helps save enough money that maybe we can go get a Devin Williams type guy too. Because I'm excited about that possibility too. I would love to see Devin Williams in the Cubs bullpen this year. Like, that's the guy that I would really like to see them take a chance on, pay a little more money than what they're used to paying for a reliever, and go get him. Because I've seen what he can do for Council.
Oh, yeah. You talked about him last episode.
And he didn't pitch as bad as what his numbers look like in 25 either.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is overdone in New York all the time, every time. I hate the Yankees.
Yeah, they destroyed Marcus Stroman too. So
yeah.
It's just that pitching staff.
So all that, did I convince you? Is Sandy your number one now?
Or yeah,
really?
I guess so. Yeah, I still like Joe Ryan, but
tell me if you don't agree. That's cool.
No, I agree. Again, you know a lot more about this than I do. So I have no choice pretty much but to agree with you because
that's not true. You always have
No, here's the thing. I can't disagree if I don't have any backup. You know?
I really hope it's one of those three.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, Gore, or Cabrera. Unless they don't have to give up Wiggins for Bubic either. Then I might move Bubic ahead of Gore at that point. But I think that they would still have to give up Wiggins for Bubic. But in a world where we can keep Jackson Wiggins and maybe he can grow into, like, I love that idea as well. Because that guy's got some true upside. An exciting upside. And the Cubs don't get that very often with their pitching prospects.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Cade Horton's so amazing and so awesome. And I'm so excited for him. And I am. I'm excited for Cade.
I am too. I think he'll be a Cy Young candidate.
All right. You got anything else, buddy?
No.
I got one more thing I want to put out. Congratulations to Jonathan Long for being named the Buck O'Neil Cubs Minor League Player of the Year. And Justin Florentino was named the V.D. Himsel Cubs Minor League Pitcher of the Year as well. Jonathan Long is the number 7 Cubs prospect in the top 30. And right now, Florentino is not in the top 30, but I think that he gets in there in the preseason rankings this coming year for 2026. And I'm excited. I just talked about the Cubs don't have a ton of like high upside pitching prospects. I'm excited about this guy. His numbers this year, this was by far his most consistent year. He was signed in January of 23 as an amateur free agent. And this year, 25, he had 81 in the third innings. He went 5-5, 14 starts, had an ERA of 2.43 at Myrtle Beach. Most of that was at Myrtle Beach. The other part was at Cubs Complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had, I thought he had K percentage here. I don't see it. He had 29.7% K rate and only a 7.4% walk rate. That is really good for a guy as young as he is.
Oh, yeah. How young is he? 19?
Yeah.
20?
I think he's 19. He's 20.
Man.
He's 20.
I need to be doing better things with my life.
But I'm excited about this kid and what he might be able to turn into. So, very cool.
Agreed.
Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Smash the subscribe button on any of your podcasts that you are listening to and or watching us on YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day. And let's go Cubs.
Go Cubbies.